Hey, it is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates, and it is time for our monthly market update, looking at all of the data and what is happening in the real estate market in Knoxville, East Tennessee, and the surrounding area. Let's jump in and start taking a look at what is happening in Knoxville. So on this screen on the far left is last month's information. In the middle is this month's information comparing October of 2025 to October of 2024. So that is the year over year data. And then you have the additional data card on the right. So this is everything with a Knoxville, Tennessee address. The Knoxville single-family home market in October of 2025 is experiencing a significant transition comparing it to the previous year as well as the prior month. Year-over-year inventory surged by an impressive 42.3%, marking a dramatic increase in the number of homes available and giving buyers far more options than they had 1 year earlier in October of 2024. New listings rose by 11.5%, while pending sales climbed 12.3%, indicating that despite the influx of supply, there is still active buyer interest in the market. However, closed home sales dropped 5.9% compared to last year, showing that rising inventory isn't being fully absorbed and signaling a clear shift away from the seller's market conditions that dominated in recent years. Pricing also reflects this rebalancing. The median sales price fell 5.9% year over year to $382,500, a notable decline, while the average sale price remained nearly flat at $497,005, up just 0.4%. The median active list price also dropped 2.3%, while the average list price increased 2.2%, suggesting that while some sellers are adjusting prices downward, higher-priced homes are lingering on the market. The average days on the market jumped 48.5% to 49 days, confirming that homes are taking longer to sell as buyers become more deliberate in their decisions. Month over month, the absorption rate ticked up slightly to 3.11 months from 3.05 months, reflecting a mildly slower pace of sales relative to inventory. Both average and median days on the market increased from September as well, reinforcing the trend of a cooling market. Despite these headwinds, pending sales rose from last month, indicating underlying demand still exists, even as buyers take more time and exercise more negotiating power. Overall, Knoxville's housing market is now much more balanced. Buyers have regained leverage, sellers face stiffer competition, and price appreciation has clearly stalled. As we move forward towards winter, sellers should be prepared for longer marketing times and the need to price competitively to attract offers, while buyers can expect greater selection and improved negotiating conditions compared to the overheated market of years ago. All right, let's jump over and take a look at the broader East Tennessee market. The East Tennessee single-family housing market showed clear signs of normalization in October of 2025, as inventory levels rose sharply, up more than 22% from last year, giving buyers more options and easing some of the competitive pressure seen in previous years. Home sales were up modestly, increasing just over 3% compared to October of 2024, while pending sales jumped an impressive 20.8% year over year, signaling strong momentum heading into winter months. New listings climbed 12%, and while sellers continue to price homes optimistically, with list prices up about 2 to 3%, actual sales prices showed stability, with the median sales price dipping slightly by just over 0.5% to $368,000. Average sale prices were essentially flat as well. The absorption rate now sits at 4.78 months, up from 4.06 a year ago, reflecting a market that is moving towards balance rather than favoring sellers. Homes are taking longer to sell, with the average days on the market rising to 64, a 36% increase from last year. Though marketing times actually improved slightly compared to last month. Overall, East Tennessee's housing market remains healthy and active, but with more inventory and more measured price trends. Buyers have gained negotiating power, and sellers need to be realistic with pricing and expectations as we move into the final months of the year. Let's jump over and take a look at what is happening in some of the surrounding counties. Looking at the card on the right, that is showing us October of 2025 compared to 1 year earlier. The card on the left is last month. But Roane County in October saw available inventory increase 41.7% compared to last year. Pending sales were up 32.2%. So you can see over the last 2 months, you saw a lot of inventory go pending in Roane County. Last month, 51.9% over the last year, and this month, 32.2%. So there's a lot of homes going pending in Roane County. The median sales price in Roane County rose 3.7%, coming in at $350,000, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $193 per square foot. In Knox County, available inventory rose 37.1% compared to a year ago. Pending sales were up 12.7% in October, and the median sales price in Knox County was down 4.74% compared to a year ago, coming in at $381,000, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $227 per square foot. In Anderson County, available inventory was up 34.6%. Pending sales were up 21%. And the median sales price in Anderson County was down 1.34%, coming in at $332,000. And in Anderson County, the median sold price per square foot came in at $194 per square foot. In Loudon County, available inventory was up 17.1%. Pending sales were up 11%. And the median sales price was down 12.52% in Loudon County, coming in at $544,500, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $246 per square foot. In Sevier County, available inventory was up 10.94%. Pending sales were down 11.41%, and the median sales price was up 25%, coming in at $575,000, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $323 per square foot. In Blount County, available inventory was up 10.5%. Pending sales were up 13%, and the median sales price in Blount County was down 2.46%, coming in at $390,075, with the median sold price per square foot coming in at $225 per square foot. Looking at these 6 counties, 4 of the 6 saw the median sales price lower than it was 1 year prior. So we are definitely seeing prices stalling, some of them dipping below where they were previous year, and then they come back up the following month. So it's pretty flat right now. There isn't a lot of price appreciation, although you see 25% in Sevier County, but we've had months of prices down in Sevier County. So we just keep an eye on this month over month. But if we look at both of these months here, so we look at the card on the left and we look at the card on the right, we can see that Knox County, Anderson County, and Blount County, that's 2 months in a row where the sales prices have been below where they were 1 year prior. It jumped a little bit more in Knox County. Last month, we were just down 0.48%. This month, down 4.74%, so a little bit more of a decrease in the median sales price. So we will keep an eye on that just to see what is happening. But as you can see, it's trending towards prices moderating, but we will keep an eye on it to make sure that there isn't anything happening that we need to keep a closer look at. All right, let's look at some other data here real quick, just to give another picture of what is happening in the Knoxville metro area and to show you in some graphics that things are cooling and what exactly is happening. So looking at the median sales price here on this chart, you can see over here on the right, this is showing 2019 until present. The median sales price, you can see that it dropped. It is lower than it was 1 year prior, like we were talking earlier. 1 year prior, we were at 397,000, and then we were down to 387,000 in 2025 in the Knoxville metro area. So prices lower than they were 1 year ago, but higher than they were the years before that. Let's look at the active listings. What's happening with active listings? So when we look at that graphic, you can see right now there are more active listings. And these data cards look at things weekly. So this data is from Monday, November 9th. Right here is where this data is pulled from. So you can see as of Monday, November 9th, there is more active inventory now than there has been over the last 6 years, and quite a bit more. This is 2019, so this was pre-pandemic. So we are over inventory-wise of active listings where we were pre-pandemic. So supply and demand tells us if there's more supply and less demand, then prices will moderate, which is what we were seeing on those cards earlier. Let's look at weeks of supply, which also gives us an idea as to what is happening in the market. The more weeks of supply you have, that's more supply, less demand. It's going to affect pricing. Well, you can see here, look how much additional weeks of supply there are right now as of Monday compared to the same time the 6 years prior. 17 weeks worth of supply, where in 2019, pre-pandemic, there was 11 weeks. So this is measuring supply and demand. So yeah, our inventory, we had more active listings than the previous years, but you can see that demand is low as well when you look at weeks of supply. So it's saying that as of Monday, there was 17 weeks of supply, where in the years prior, in 2021, we were down to 7 weeks of supply. So again, quite a big difference. And you can see here, when looking at the historical average, historically, right now, we're usually up 1.5 weeks of supply, but as of right now, we're up 4.6 weeks of supply for this time of year. So things are definitely stacking up, which is why we are seeing pressure on prices to come down. Though they're not coming down a lot, but there is pressure there. Let's look at the homes sold. How about homes sold compared to previous years? Well, you can see over the last 7 years, 2025 is the lowest year for homes sold at this particular point in time. So again, showing weakness in home sales. If we look at new listings coming on the market, you can see this is the second highest year for new listings coming on the market. So that is adding supply. So again, supply and demand, the more supply there is, the less demand there is, the more pressure there will be on prices to moderate, which we are seeing. How about days on the market? When we look at the days on the market, 2025 saw the highest amount of days on the market this past Monday than any of the 6 years prior. Again, showing some weakness in the market. How about pending sales? We look at the pending sales, second lowest year looking at the last 7 years. So again, low pending sales means lower demand, higher supply, lower demand, pressure on prices. And then how about the sale to list price ratio? This shows you how much negotiation is happening. Well, we're down here and we're tied for all these 3 years, 2025, 2019, and 2024 are all tied at 98.1. So all these other years, 2021, 2020, 2022, 2023, there was less negotiation happening, but now there's more negotiation happening, which makes sense if there's pressure on the prices, if there's more inventory and less demand. That makes sense that there is more negotiating happening and there's more opportunity for buyers to negotiate. And lastly, let's look at price drops. This will show us where the market is as well. So when we look at price drops, you can see more price drops in 2025 as of Monday of this week than any other of the 6 years prior. Again, signaling there is some weakness in the market that is putting pressure on prices. I want to go over a couple other things. When we look at this chart here is showing what has happened in the market since 2012 through 2025 with the amount of sales that have happened. So you can see on this chart as it is going up here, there's this big spike around 2020, 2021, 2022, parts of 2023, and then there's a big drop off in the amount of sales. So there's a surge in sales and then there's a slump in sales. And part of the reason for that is that a lot of the sales that should be happening right now were actually pulled forward into 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, because back then we had those super low interest rates and we had work at home where a lot of people from all different parts of the country could go anywhere they wanted to and work from home. So we saw a lot of sales pulled forward into those years that would normally be happening now. People who maybe wouldn't have been thinking about moving until now decided to move earlier because of low interest rates and because of what was happening during that whole crazy time period of working from home and maybe moving out of some areas that were more restrictive after COVID happened. There was a perfect storm for buying a home at that point in time that pulled people forward to buy homes then instead of waiting, which is why we are seeing slower sales now. Thought that was interesting. Now, all this to be said about Knoxville moderating prices, but we are still seeing sales and we are still seeing demand. And speaking of demand, I wanted to show you what Zillow says about Knoxville. So it says among the 300 largest U.S. metro area housing markets, Zillow expects the biggest home price increases between September of 2025 and September of 2026 to occur in these 15 metros. And number 4 on this list, Zillow has Knoxville, Tennessee, seeing a 5% increase year over year in their home values. So Zillow seems to think that Knoxville is very solid and in the top 5, not only top 5, but number 4 on the list for the biggest home price increases over the next year. And this last thing I want to show you has caused a little bit of a stir in the Knoxville area as this came out in the New York Post and came out in a lot of different publications across the country as to the top cities that people are looking to move to in 2026. It was through the company Move Buddha. So this is it right here. Move Buddha's moving forecast, the most popular cities to move to in 2026. And you can see just a little hint from their graphic here that Knoxville right here might be one of them. We also have the bean here from Chicago and some other places from different parts of the country. But as we scroll down here, so where will Americans land next? We wanted to know which way the winds are blowing in 2026 based on data, and we wanted to know now, not in 2027, when the U.S. Census numbers will confirm where Americans wind up. So we mined the Move Buddha moving cost calculator from 2019 to October of 2025 to examine moving search trends and forecast which cities will be the most popular in 2026. And what did they find? As we come down here, key takeaways, Knoxville will have the highest in to out move ratio in 2026, with 1.61 more newcomers heading in for every person moving away. Knoxville has hit all the sweet spots that define cities in the top 25, and those 3 sweet spots are anchored by a university, obviously University of Tennessee. 20 of them are mid-sized cities, which Knoxville is, and 13 are in the south or southwest, and Knoxville, of course, is in the south. So, interesting. Move Buddha listing Knoxville as the number 1 most popular city to move to in 2026. Okay, I hope that has all been interesting and educational. If you have any questions about any of this, don't hesitate to comment below or reach out to me directly. Happy to answer any questions. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the East Tennessee area, don't hesitate. Reach out to us. We would love to help you. I hope you are having a great day. This is Troy Stavros with Cornerstone Realty Associates. We'll talk to you soon.